All right, so this is Dark Tone, which is the sort of black version of the wash from the Quick Shades range. And here's the difference between having a wash. Now this will dry quite a bit lighter, but you can see it just goes in there, makes it so that you can see things easier. And then, I don't know if I can, yeah, I didn't think I could turn that. All right, so let's see. So if we look at the back here versus the back here, all right, that's just going to give you a little bit more detail in there. So that's the dark tone that I'm going to do over top of all the armor. This is like my favorite step of this whole thing because you can really start to see things coming together. So these guys they're all still wet, but the dark tone has been applied over everything. Okay, so there's our two armored soldiers there. And then these guys are still really wet, so you can't see too much on there just yet because those are still quite wet. I added some more. I wanted it to pool at the bottom of the eyes on the shield, but you can see that's brought up the detail, the cracks and things in there. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tint this armor. So we are going to have a little bit of blue tinting, and for that I'm going to use the blue tone quick shade, and then we're going to have a little bit of purple tinting on the plates themselves, and for that I'm going to use the purple tone that we used earlier, and these are just going to be thinned down so that they just put a little bit of color on there. So let me get that done. And then, oh, and I'm going to put some purple tone on the pants of the Rattlebones just so that it tones that pinky color down a little bit. And then we're going to let everybody dry overnight. So I'll get a photo before they dry, and then this is where we'll pick up tomorrow. All right, so in terms of just sort of tinting a little bit, I have some purple tone with one little drop of water in there, just to thin it down a little bit. And all I'm going to do is just touch the area that I want it to go in just a little bit. So this is, it's called a stippling technique. So I'm just basically going to touch a little bit around the helmet. If I want a place to have a little bit more, then I can either put some more there or I can offload a bit more from the side of my brush. Okay, and we've got a little bit of a purple tone there. And then this band, we want a little bit of a blue tone, so I'm going to use the blue for that. Make sure I've cleaned my brush well in between, and I'm back to my number 1 for this. Now the blue tone, it's quite dark on its own, so I think what I'm going to do is the same thing that I did with the purple. I'm just going to get my brush wet and basically add, I'm going to pull this out a little bit and just add that one drop of water, or one brush full of water to that. So I've thinned that out a little bit. And then that part, we want to kind of come in here. Okay, and this is going to dry lighter, so I'm okay that it's darker now. And I'm just going to go in between each of these little rivets. The rivets are going to be done with sand gulum when I go back and do the details and the highlights. Now, the rim of the shield was also blue. So I'm just going to get a bit of blue on there. And I have a bit of purple on the bottom of his armor. So this part, I'm just going to put just a little blue highlight in that area. And then we're going to let this dry and we'll see what it looks like tomorrow. But I think that's going to work out well. Now the rattle bones, I just put some straight purple tone over the top of it. That's just toned it just a little bit. And as it dries, that will tone that a little bit more. So this one, you can see he's drying well. And we're just going to go in and put the blue between the rivets. My version is going to be a bit brighter, probably, than the ones on the site. But I don't mind. I like the bright. All right, we have blue on the bottom of his armor. So again, I'm just going to come in on the bottom of those pads and put a little blue there. Oh, I missed a rivet section. Okay, and then I need to hit his shield. All right, so we've tinted our metallics there, and that will be it for those guys. Now let me see what we're going to do. All right, on these guys, I think I'm going to take this blue and carry it through in the top. Yep, I think that'll look good when it dries. And I'm going to do that same purple tone. Just to sort of, in a couple of little spots there. I think we'll do a little bit along the bottom of the helmet. There we go. A little bit under the cape. Now I'm just taking a little bit of that purple off here. I was thinking that was drying a little strong. So I'm going to take a tiny bit of that off. Just reapply that just a little bit. Okay. Then I'm going to add a little bit more water into this, because I just want this to be very, very subtle. And I'm going to come into the shield. And just hit a couple of spots here. All right, so that's all I'm going to do in there. And then I am going to finish this guy here. Just do the same thing I just did on the other one. And then that'll be it for this evening.